Is doll collecting dying? This is a sentiment I have heard a lot in the past few weeks, and we are going to be discussing that in this video. But first of all, hi, my name is Ainsley from Fairy Tale Vibes. You may know me from my Ever After High videos, but today we are doing a more general video about the overall doll community and some things that I have been hearing. So first of all, we are going to kind of be discussing some of the patterns I have seen, because I have seen a similar situation to this happen before, but we are also going to be discussing a solution that I have for those of you who feel the doll collecting community is dying, because I feel that many who think the doll collecting community is dying rely heavily on the big companies and rely heavily on new product releases from the big companies. So I'm going to kind of share with you some alternate solutions, how you can keep collecting, how you can stay active as a collector without needing to rely on these big companies to have good quality dolls for you to be excited about collecting. So let's get into it. Also, in this video, I'm going to be doing my makeup, and I am also joined by this doll. Her name is Carlotta. She is just basically a restyled Shadow High Heather Grayson doll. I really didn't do anything to actually customize the doll. I just kind of let her hair down, I boil washed it to make it straighter, and then I made her this beautiful ball gown. But she has kind of become the mascot for the Dollcrafter Marketplace, which we are also going to be talking about in this video, and that's kind of like the solution I have. So we're going to get into more talking about what exactly the Dollcrafter Marketplace is, but I really think the Dollcrafter Marketplace is kind of a solution for us to kind of continue existing as a doll collecting community, continue buying new dolls without relying on these big companies to, you know, make good dolls. But I'm going to put her over here, I think. How can we do this? I'm going to put her there. Because I'm going to be doing my makeup, and I also don't want to touch her while I'm doing my makeup, but let's get that out and let's get this video started. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the situation that is happening in the doll community right now and why many people feel like the doll hobby is dying because of it. And when I'm talking about the doll hobby, I'm specifically talking about fashion dolls. I'm not talking about baby dolls. I'm not talking about ball joint dolls. We're specifically talking about like Ever After High, Monster High, Barbie, Rainbow High, whatever, Bratz. Those are like fashion dolls. So just so you know, that's the type of doll we're talking about. So I think many people feel like it's dying just because of the hyper consumerism and the low quality that many doll lines have been putting out. So recently, I have kind of said this before, it feels like whenever Mattel puts out a collector Monster High doll, they'll literally put minimal quality into it, but then just charge a high price for it because it's G1, so they know collectors will buy it. I feel like that is a big problem that a lot of us have been seeing, and a lot of us have just been kind of feeling failed by the doll quality. Like, we don't think the doll quality is worth the price in general. And also, when I say this, I want to say this is at no fault the cause of the designers. The designers at Mattel, they're wonderful. They're wonderfully talented. The problem just seems to be that Mattel doesn't really care. Mattel doesn't want to put in the money they need and the money that Mattel very well can afford to make these dolls nice. Another big problem, and I think this is really what has put the nail in the coffin for a lot of people thinking the doll community is dying, is that like a huge Barbie doll designer, Bill Greening, like somebody that is very well known, just got fired from Mattel. And I think this is showing a lot of people that Mattel doesn't really care about the artistry behind the dolls. At the end of the day, they are a corporation, which I totally understand. They're a corporation, they care about making money. So it just shows that they really don't care about the artistry of the dolls. But us in the doll community, we're collectors, we're not kids. Maybe some of you are younger watching this video, but as a collector, the reason we collect dolls is because we see them as a sort of form of art, and we care about the artistry. And if you're going to fire somebody who is known for like making beautiful Barbie dolls, and on top of that, beautiful Barbie collector dolls, and just show that you don't really care about any artistic talent, that is going to kind of feel like, make us doll collectors feel a sense of hopelessness. Like, okay, Mattel doesn't actually care about making good quality dolls if they can just go and randomly fire this person who's been doing a great job. You know, so I think that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason, and this is something that happened a while ago, was the rebrand of Rainbow High. To me, the rebrand of Rainbow High was kind of predictable. And this is just because this is something I've seen before. Like Rainbow High and Shadow High, I kind of lumped Shadow High in with Rainbow High. They got so big. They almost got too big to handle. I remember when there was like so many Rainbow High and Shadow High dolls coming out at once, and they were all like amazing quality for the price. I'm not a big Rainbow High or Shadow High fan, but I just remember I started buying a lot of them because I was like, I know this is only going to last for so long, and I was right, because then eventually, like, I feel like Rainbow High only had like 3 good years, and then they rebranded, which I don't even hate the rebrand. It's for kids. It's not for me. I'm not complaining about that, but I think it's just showing like that Rainbow High was another brand that collectors used to love, and now it's not for collectors anymore, which is fine. But again, that's another reason that people feel like the doll community is dying, because there's not any really like affordable, good quality dolls. And here's the thing about the G1 dolls. I know you're saying, well, the G1 Monster High dolls that people like to collect, they're expensive because they're collectors. My problem with that is they're literally the same quality as the G3 Monster High dolls, which are a third of the price. So I just feel like the reason I think a lot of people are feeling the doll community is dying is just because these corporations don't seem to care. These corporations will inflate the price. They'll do whatever to make money. Bratz has been doing okay, but they don't have like a lot of releases. I just feel like people are kind of thinking that we are heading into a doll drought, which I want to say again, this has happened before. This happened in kind of like 2017, 2018. There was a period before that, maybe like in like 2013, where Ever After High, Monster High, like American Girl, all the big Mattel brands, I forget what was happening with Barbie, but those 3, they were like at a huge height. They were so popular. American Girl was opening up so many new stores. Fast forward to now, American Girl has had to close many of those stores, but they were just growing so fast, and this is kind of similar to what happened with Rainbow High, but back then. And, sorry, I have to tilt this down for a second. But basically, what ended up happening is, we know Ever After High ended up getting canceled, but before they got canceled, they dramatically had to reduce the quality. So, like, I remember when I was younger, I got very emotionally attached to Ever After High, and American Girl specifically. And so I remember when they started dying off, I felt like, to me, it felt like it was the end of the world. Like, there was never going to be any good quality Ever After High dolls again, which there weren't, because it did die off, you know? But American Girl also reduced its quality. Like, the American Girl thing was very shocking, because American Girl was always seen as like a more prestigious brand, and I still don't really think American Girl has ever fully come back from this. But at this time, like around again 2017, American Girl started, like, in my opinion, kind of ruining its brand reputation, because they started like having so many quality issues, reducing quality. And then also, of course, Monster High got rebooted to G2, and G2 was just not as good as G1, and so many people hated it. So like, I feel like definitely by 2018, I kind of at that point had taken a break from doll collecting. Like, I kind of just became disinterested in it, because I was so worn out with these companies, and I'm like, they're just not making anything I want. It wasn't until Rainbow High came out, which was that like 2021, that I kind of felt a rejuvenated sense of, okay, I'm like interested in doll collecting, because like I saw something that truly sparked inspiration in me, because again, I think we doll collectors are really looking for this art form. And it wasn't until 2021 that I really got this inspiration sparked in me by Rainbow High, and I feel like Rainbow High is what motivated Mattel to make G3 Monster High so good, you know? And I know people have opinions about G3 Monster High, but like the quality, you have to say, the quality of G3 Monster High is pretty much the same, if not better, than the G1 collector dolls Mattel is releasing right now. And I think part of their motivation to make G3 Monster High so good is because they were competing with Rainbow High. But now that Rainbow High doesn't exist, sure, maybe they're competing with Bratz, but Bratz is not releasing as many dolls, so it kind of gives Mattel the excuse to slack off. So I have just had to mentally prepare myself, because I really feel like we are heading into a similar situation that we did in 2018, where all the dolls are going to be reducing quality. And you know, in 2018, eventually Ever After High died off, so could G3 Monster High die off? Also at that time, G2 Monster High died off. Well, nobody liked G2 Monster High anyway. Some people liked it. I know there's going to be some people in the comments who were like, I actually really like G2 Monster High, but compared to G1 and G3 Monster High, G2 Monster High is far less popular. So anyway, Rainbow High has kind of already burned. It still exists, but it doesn't exist in the same form it did before. So Rainbow High, in my head, is kind of dead already. Bratz is, like, it's in between. Like, it's not that it's dead, but it's, like, it's just not, like, very consistent. They're not releasing that many dolls, which maybe is good. Maybe gives collectors more time to save up money. So I'm not hating on that. And then I really feel like Mattel thinks that no matter what they do with G1, if they make good quality good quality or bad quality G1 dolls they'll sell because people are so attached to G1. I think that's what Mattel is thinking right now. But I think what is actually going to happen with the G1 Monster High collectors is that Mattel is going to keep reducing the quality and people are going to keep getting more mad, and eventually Mattel is going to run themselves into the ground and people are going to get so annoyed they're just going to stop collecting Monster High dolls. I think that's what's going to happen, and I really think we are headed towards a doll drought. However, like I said before, I do have a solution for this. I have been working on building my startup, the Dollcrafter Marketplace. Now, what is the Dollcrafter Marketplace? I've talked about it before in some videos. It is basically a marketplace for doll collectors by doll collectors. It is kind of similar to, eBay or Etsy, but just for doll collector things. So we'll have used dolls, we'll have materials to customize your own dolls, so we'll have doll hair, we'll have face-up materials like watercolor colored pencils, acrylic paints, little brushes. We will have things to make your own doll clothes, so like thread, fabric, all that stuff. We'll also have just people selling doll clothes on there. And the reason I think the Dollcrafter Marketplace is kind of a solution to the doll community dying off is because I think the problem that we have in the doll community right now is that we have become so reliant on these big brands. We have become so reliant on companies like Mattel to make good quality dolls, and then when they're not making good quality dolls, we're like, okay, what was this even for? Like, I am so bored, I don't have anything to collect. And then you start questioning, did this ever really bring me joy? Because they're just like dolls, But I think the way to really kind of bring back that spark and inspiration into doll collectors is to have a more customized doll experience. Because as great as it is to kind of, see somebody who has like a complete Rainbow High collection, how exciting is it if everybody had a complete Rainbow High collection? You know what I'm saying? I think what it's more exciting about doll collecting is having a kind of unique and personalized collection. So really what we want to encourage at the Dollcrafter Marketplace is for everybody to kind of, create their own, choose their own doll collecting experience. And what I mean by that is we will have used dolls. If you just want to shop used dolls, you can shop used dolls. If you want to shop for different hair colors to reroute your doll's hair a different color, you can do that. And I think what we really want to encourage is everybody having a truly unique, customized doll collection. And not even necessarily that you have to have customs. You could just have restyles. You could just have different curated dolls that are from different lines, like whatever. But I think like for the doll community to continue thriving when these big brands fail and when they kind of run us into the ground with their rampant consumerism, is to kind of take it back into our own hands. There has also been a conversation of like, sustainability and waste. Like, are we just creating so much plastic waste by having these brands constantly mass produce so many dolls? And I think that is also an important question, because that is also something that I think the Dollcrafter Marketplace is trying to answer. Because again, anybody can sell on the Dollcrafter Marketplace. So anybody can go on there and sell used dolls. And if you sell used dolls on the Dollcrafter Marketplace, you'll have a higher probability of doll collectors who are looking for used dolls actually finding them, because people go on the Dollcrafter Marketplace who are in doll collecting. Does that make sense? Additionally, fabric. Fabric can be so wasteful, and the thing with dolls is you don't need a lot of fabric to make clothing. Sure, maybe this dress is kind of poofy, you maybe need a lot of fabric, but you still don't nearly need as much as any human piece of clothing. And the problem is most fabric companies sell fabric in amounts for you to make human clothes. And if you're just buying a fabric to make a one-time doll dress, you're going to waste so much fabric, and that fabric, unless you find somewhere that does fabric recycling, that fabric is just going to go to waste, And what I really love about the Dollcrafter Marketplace is right now I'm actually creating kits to sew doll clothing that will have the exact amount of fabric you need to make the doll clothing. Because I have actually had the experience before where I ordered the smallest amount of a fabric. It was when I was doing a commission for Ghoul Glam on TikTok. I was making him this like Sabrina Carpenter outfit, and I needed this chiffon, this blue chiffon for the little baby doll dress. And the smallest amount of the chiffon fabric I could order from the website I found it at, because I tried to find it in person. I couldn't find it in person. So I had to order online. I ordered a yard, and it was like, a yard is like this wide, but then it was like this long. Like, it was, I still have all this fabric. I don't know what to do with it. It's like an ungodly amount of fabric, and I only need like this much for the baby doll dress. And that's just so much fabric waste. And again, Joann Fabrics, where a lot of people get their fabrics, is also closing. And a lot of people don't want to support other places that sell fabric like Hobby Lobby because they're problematic. And that's another thing I didn't even touch on. A lot of people are kind of done with the big brands right now. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but a lot of people are not super interested in buying from big brands like Amazon or Target right now, and they don't want to support these big corporations. There's also, I know some people who just don't want to buy from MGA either because of stuff going on with MGA. And I think the way to do that is to buy from each other within the doll collecting community. You know what I'm saying? And so on the Dollcrafter Marketplace, we are going to be buying and selling from each other. In the doll collecting community, you're not going to be supporting these big brands. Anyway, so me specifically, I used to go to Joann for my fabric needs. And I like that at Joann, the smallest amount of fabric you could buy was 1/4 of a yard, which, by the way, if you're just like making a tiny doll dress, like, you know, maybe like for a dress like this that's big, 1/4 yard is good. But if you're making like something like this big, like 1/4 yard of fabric is still honestly way too much for a doll dress. And then also you're spending extra money you don't need to spend for all that extra fabric. So anyway, what are we going to do at the Dollcrafter Marketplace? We are basically going to have smaller amounts of fabric that you will actually use to sew doll clothes for affordable prices. We of course will also be having like patterns, which are like, if you are unfamiliar with sewing, patterns are like the instructions so you can sew your own doll clothes. Originally on the Dollcrafter Marketplace, when I was originally designing it, I was like, oh yeah, people can come on here and sew doll clothes. And then people came to me and they were like, hey, I want to make my own doll clothes. And I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. What if we sell materials so you can make your own doll clothes? Because again, I want everybody to engage with dolls the way they want to engage with dolls. And actually, historically, like, sewing clothes for dolls was a big thing, like back in ye olden days, like when little girls were learning how to sew or whatever. And again, this is kind of patriarchal, but it's still interesting, like girls would learn how to sew on dolls. And I think it's like interesting that that's a historical thing that we've kind of lost. I mean, when I was little, I learned how to sew because my grandma taught me how to sew on dolls because I liked dolls when I was little. But that just sort of happened. But I understand that not everybody has that experience. And I kind of want to give everybody the opportunity to have the experience because I just think it's fun. Like, you know, I could sew clothes for real people. I've sewn my Raven Queen possibly before, but I just think it's so much fun to sew clothes for dolls because they're like little models. And again, you don't need to spend as much money on the fabric. And then, like, realistically, like, I could sew myself a ball gown like this, but when am I going to wear it? Meanwhile, if I sew my doll a ball gown like this, she can be standing in my room wearing this ball gown all the time. She's living her best life, you know? So yeah, that's just like really what I want to say. Another huge problem is scalpers. And the sad thing is other platforms like, you know, eBay mainly, do not care. They have no policies against scalpers. And I think that's abysmal. I think it's abysmal. And I know it's not just a problem with dolls, it's also a problem like in the ticket world, like with Ticketmaster, again, abysmal. But I think the good thing about Dollcrafter is that we will have policies to prevent scalpers. So we will have basically a policy in place where if you're selling a new doll that's less than 5 years old, it cannot be in box. Because 9 times out of 10, or even more than that, like 99% of the time when scalpers are selling dolls, they just buy a new collector doll, they immediately resell it in box. No. And if it becomes, honestly, if it also becomes a problem on the Dollcrafter Marketplace with people just, you know, then buying dolls and unboxing them so they can sell them new, we will also put up some sort of rule against that. But yeah, we're just basically going to not allow scalpers. So then hopefully they'll go to other platforms like eBay if they're trying to scalp. But then hopefully if all of us doll collectors band together and stay on the Dollcrafter Marketplace, then we won't have to interact with these horrible scalpers. Just because I think it's very, you know, unethical. What else? Oh, AI. I haven't written up this policy yet, but I do think it is a policy that we should have on the Dollcrafter Marketplace. No, like, right now a lot of people have become annoyed with Etsy because Etsy has been allowing, you know, products that are made with AI, and I think it's one thing if, I don't know, like, you use AI to help you generate inspiration or whatever. But it's another thing just to, like, fully, I don't know, let's say, like, have the AI design a pattern for a doll dress. Like, no, like, you should do that yourself. Like, I just don't think anything designed by AI should be on the Dollcrafter Marketplace. I just don't think that's okay. And I don't think we necessarily will have as much of a problem with that because we're, like, selling physical stuff for dolls. Usually stuff that's designed by AI is, like, prints. So unless, like, maybe if people want it, we could, like, allow people to sell prints they've made of, like, different dolls or whatever. But if that does happen, like, no. Anything made by AI will not be allowed. I think it's kind of actually ridiculous that Etsy, you know, a platform that touted itself as supporting small businesses, has now allowed AI on there. I think that is kind of ridiculous. And I know that's a lot of the reason, like, a lot of people don't want to shop on Etsy. And it's not like I hate Etsy. It's just that I feel like it's so big. And I feel like another problem with Etsy is just that, yeah, there's a lot of people selling doll stuff on there, but I also feel like it's hard to find each other. I just feel like the algorithm is not good. It only wants to show you people, that paid to have their, like, promotion and stuff. So I think what we really need is a space where it's just doll collectors, so we can easily find each other's products. Also, on the Dollcrafter Marketplace, we are going to, like, have different categories, so you can very easily search for what you're looking for. For example, like, we'll have a category for doll clothes, and then you can, like, scroll down and it'll be like doll dresses, doll tops, doll pants, so you can easily find what you're looking for. We'll have, like, another category that'll be like face-up materials, and then you can click down and it'll be like watercolor colored pencils, pens, sealant, like whatever. Or we'll especially for sure, we will have a category for doll hair, and then you can click through the different colors and types of doll hair for, like, rebooting and stuff. I will say right now, let's talk about what is going to be on the Dollcrafter Marketplace upon launch. So for the Dollcrafter Marketplace, our goal to launch right now is in late April, maybe early May. Right now, our initial launch is going to kind of be a test run, so it's only going to be available in the US, which I know most of you are from the US. If you're not from the US, I'm really sorry. I really want to include you, so hopefully we will be able to expand that. But it's going to be in the US. And then the materials that I know that we are stocking on the Dollcrafter Marketplace, we are stocking a bunch of different hair colors and materials for doll, like, rerouting, like, rerouting the doll hair. And then we are also going to be putting together kits for you to sew your own doll clothes. We are not going to have as many face-up materials available upon launch, just because when I was doing research, not as many people were demanding that right away. More people were interested in the sewing or the rerouting, which makes sense. However, if it's successful, we will be adding more face-up materials. We are also still looking for more sellers. So there's just going to be things directly sold by the marketplace, but we want sellers. We want people engaging with each other. Again, I also think right now, it's very clear that these big corporations don't really care about artists. Again, they literally fired Bill Greening. They don't really care about artists. And I think what's really great about the Dollcrafter Marketplace is we can directly support each other and directly support each other's artistry. So if you want to sell, please let me know. If you still want to keep your Etsy or whatever other shop you have, like, that's fine. There's going to be a waitlist in the description. The waitlist is going to be for both people who want to be customers and sellers in the marketplace. So if you're interested in any capacity, fill out the waitlist. If you are interested in being a seller specifically, when you fill out the waitlist, there's another interest form linked in the waitlist. So make sure you fill out that interest form so that you can tell us, like, what products you sell, so that we can help you get set up for when we launch. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you guys have any other questions about Dollcraft or anything. But I really think the way for us to prevent the doll community from dying is to really take it into our own hands and continue it how we see fit. And I know this video was a bit more heavy, so hopefully we'll have an Ever After High video out soon, so you can look forward to that. But yeah, I'm trying to see if I covered everything. I literally wrote in my notes, support each other instead of big corporations, because I think so many people are tired and sick of the big corporations. And again, it's not because we don't like the designers. The designers are great. It's because they're not getting adequate support. Like, honestly, if I was you, Bill Greening, it's probably, like, very expensive, which is why I haven't done it. But, like, go, like, he has reputation. Go start your own doll line. Like, we would support you. A lot of people in my past, when I've expressed interest in going into the doll industry, they should be like, oh, you should go get a job from Mattel. And I've always had this intuition that, like, that's not for me. And I think that intuition that's not right for me is correct. I'm kind of glad I don't live in California, because if I lived in California, that's, like, where all the jobs at Mattel are. I might have, like, gone in that direction. But I think I'm much more interested in, like, the independent artistry, having the Dollcrafter Marketplace, that side of it. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe to support. Check out that waitlist for the Dollcrafter Marketplace. You can check out our preliminary website we have up. It just has some information, some fun articles on there. The marketplace is not ready yet. It'll be ready again in late April, early May. What else? Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Follow the Dollcraft Marketplace on Instagram and TikTok. It'll all be linked below. If TikTok is still available in the US, I don't know. We will see. Anyway, bye guys.